Welcome to the Ignited Recovery Podcast, a new way forward for anyone looking for answers but feeling left out. If you've been searching for empowerment, triumph, and purpose, you've found them right here. You won't hear the same solutions, and you're not going to have any excuses to fall back on, because Ignited Recovery allows heroes to rise and become their best selves. I'm Dr. Sophie Jaffe, and I can't wait to be your guide on this journey. Are you ready to become an ignited hero? What if the reason that we only have the thought of what the hell's the point of all of this when things go badly is because when things go well, we remember what the actual point is, and that the actual point is to just enjoy the journey as much as we can. That's the fucking point. And so we don't have to remind ourselves to enjoy the journey when we're enjoying the journey because we're in it. And it's when we're not enjoying it that we lose that remembrance. We lose the inner deep knowledge that, I hate saying it this plainly, I will share my conclusion. There is no fucking point. There's no big point. I was doing a really deep experience one weekend with 40 therapists. And it's kind of funny. You get 40 psychologists and therapists in one place for a weekend. The conversations that come up, like there's no surface level conversation. Nobody is talking about the weather. Nobody cares about the food. Like everything is about the meaning of life and everything, right? Okay. So we're all talking, and I had a conversation with Sophie just the night before, and she was asking me, what is it about you that makes nothing enough? Like no matter what you achieve, no matter what you do, no matter how hard you work, you always feel in your head like it's not enough. And I didn't really have an answer. My dad worked his ass off and I never saw him. That's definitely probably part of the underlying surface to it. But for me, there was always this mission of relevance, of leaving an impact, of creating a change, making a difference, right? That's why Ignited, the point is to lead, hundreds of thousands or millions of people by the time we're done, because I want to really feel like I left an impact. So she kept asking me like, but why? And I didn't know. I had no idea. So I said, you know what? I'm going into this really deep experience over the weekend. Let me make that my intention. Let me make it my intention to figure out the why. I had no answer, nothing close to an answer. Right before a deep session I was doing personally, I was having a conversation with about 3 or 4 of the other therapists. And I said, look, leaving an impact is important to me. And I said, I'm not pretending I'm Gandhi or Einstein or like Martin Luther King, or I'm not trying to leave that level of an impact, but I want to feel like my life mattered. So in that moment, when I was saying that to those people, that was my answer to the question that we were asking. What's the point of it? The point is to make the world better somehow, to leave an impact, to create change, right? That was the answer I was giving. Okay. I go into my session, and it's a very deep, very psychedelic, very existential session in general. It was like a 2-hour session for me. And in the middle of that session, that question came up. What does it matter? What's the point? And I had a very clear, pulled out into the 10 million mile view, not a bird's eye view, but like what the birds of the birds of the birds of the birds kind of would see, right? Floating in the middle of the universe, looking at all of it. And it dawned on me, given the conversation I just had with these other therapists, that when it comes to the universe, to the thing, to the overall reality we live in, right? Not mine over the 75, 80, 90 years I'll be on this planet. The reality of the universe. I mean, no offense to Gandhi, but even Gandhi doesn't matter. Or Einstein, or Elon Musk, or Jeff Bezos, or right? Like in the grand scheme of the universe that we live in, let alone the world that we're on top of, each one of those things is a speck on a speck on a speck on a speck on a speck. Now, before, when I was 16, 15, 18 years old, that answer would have made me very nervous. But there was a freedom that came for me in the middle of that session. And it was out of this. If there is nothing that objectively matters more than anything else, because 5,000 years from now, nobody's going to remember I even lived. Like nobody is going to know I was here in 5 or 10,000 years, right? So in the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter whether I do something or don't. Well, that means I get to determine what matters. I get to decide while I'm on this planet what is important. And the reason that was really freeing to me is I've had, I'll say conflict, but more than conflict, I've had tension with my wife and with my family and with people around me because the mission I was taking on, this idea of helping save lives and make the world better, et cetera, and all other stuff that I still think mattered more in my head. I thought it was objective, but very subjectively mattered more than almost anything else. So I placed it as a higher value. And that meant I made choices. I gave less attention to my kids, less attention to my wife, less attention to my friends, because this other thing mattered. And in that moment when I had the experience, I was recognizing that is my prioritization. Helping 10,000 inmates in a correctional setting is not actually objectively more or less important than spending a really great weekend with my family, which is actually hard for me to even say right now as I'm saying it, because the old version of me doesn't believe that's true. But given the overall picture again of the world that we're living in, neither one matters more than the other. And I got massive freedom from that.
Thank you for tuning in to the Ignited Heroes Recovery Podcast. I really hope you found the information here useful and that we'll see you back here next week. And look, I want to make sure that this podcast is the most useful it can be for you. So please let me know by emailing info@ignited.com if there are any specific topics or questions you'd like to have addressed. As usual, if you like this episode, I would love for you to leave us a 5-star review and rating. Thanks, and see you next week.